Hi y'all, this is House Guest and I am your host, Kenzie Elizabeth. Think a Gen Z wannabe Martha Stewart meets Dolly Parton trying to live in a Nancy Meyers movie in her 20s. We talk all about life, relationships, navigating your 20s, closing at the bars, or waking up at 5 a.m. depending on our vibe that week. Ultimately, living our best lives and figuring it out along the way. So come hang out. Sometimes I have guests on who do really cool things, some of my best friends, or it's just me and my house that I spend way too much time in. So let's get into the show. Hi, y'all. Welcome back to the show. I am so excited for today's episode. Actually, sorry. First things first. This is the first episode you guys are seeing with our new video quality. Listen, I'm telling everyone, YouTube, House Guest, you have to listen or watch on YouTube. I hired some video. Listen, it's a lot better now, okay? I've made some moves. I've been talking about it, and now it's just so much better. So anyways, this episode, the actual episode is shot in New York, but next week we have our first solo from the studio, if you will, which is, my house, and it's going to be incredible. Anyways, I am so excited for today's episode because Shawnaci, who's like easily my favorite follow, easily the most supportive person ever. I have never dropped a product that she has not immediately purchased and posted on her own. I'm like, I will gift you. I will give this to you. And she is just the kindest, sweetest woman I've ever met in my entire life. She has such a calming presence. I have wanted her on our book series for so long, but we just didn't live in the same place. I didn't know if we would ever be in the same city. I only record in person. So we finally got to record in New York, and she is a huge reader. She makes a lot of book talk content, a lot of book YouTube content. So she is quite literally the perfect person to have on today's episode. So without further ado, let's welcome her to the show. First off, I'm really excited that you're here because you have been my number one dream guest for my book series on my podcast. I'm really excited.
Oh my gosh.
We're truly fast friends already, guys. We've just been chatting it up.
Yeah, I feel like Midwest vibes is very similar to Texas,
completely agree.
The gardening, the bookish things, it's the same. It's the same vibe.
It's literally the same. Yeah. My friend TK is from Indiana. We always say a Midwest boy and a Texas boy, there's not much difference.
No. I tell people all the time, I'm like, you guys just don't hype up the Midwest enough. You said Indiana she's from?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a different vibe.
It is. It's cozy. Everyone's nice. Mm-hmm. That's what I need. This morning, I love the city. I do. I've already been assaulted by 3 different people all verbally. And I'm like, okay, I can't handle this.
I feel like I'm over the city already. I have one more day here and that was enough. I don't need any more. New York's nice. Everyone's cool, but they're way cooler than me. I need to go back for I'm my little town, my little dresses, my apple barn,
I need some grass. I need to touch the grass.
Thank you.
That's what I need.
I don't know how people just live without being near grass and nature. I feel like I have to take off my shoes every day. I don't know.
I agree completely. I need you need a picnic vibe.
I do.
Actually, on the water. That's my dream. My dream is to basically live how you're living. I want to be literally on the water.
Yes. Yeah. Well, my husband, he was telling me, he was like, oh, well, do you want to get some land? It would be nice to get land too. And I'm like, but the water is land is nice. Chickens, the whole thing, that would be great. But there's something about the water, seeing the sunset every night.
I want land on water.
Same, but it's so hard to find that.
I know, it's literally impossible.
Yeah, it is.
I needed to get rich 20 years before I was born and then have bought it then for me in my 40s.
Well, my husband, he was like, well, we could just get land and then we could also keep the lake house. And I'm like, yeah, but we're going to be at one more than the other. And I want to be at the lake house and you want to be on land. So we have to live together. So we got to figure out
we need to keep this marriage together.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So we are doing a book episode. We have some really incredible questions. If you guys are new to the podcast or if you haven't listened, I have a little book series that we do every, I would say 8-ish weeks. And I have different friends on that are big readers, basically, that are other influencers, book influencers. You really are a book influencer these days. You're taking over.
I just don't even know how it happened. I really don't. And I was thinking the other day.
It's happened to quite a few people.
Yeah, not even on purpose.
Yeah.
It's and I think part of it is I feel with books, you don't really have to think too much. You can just read something, talk about it, and you move on with your day. Whereas before, I feel I would share fashion or self-love, and I'd really have to dig back in the back of my brain to find some inspiration or some really thought out like message or something. With books and like, I could be like, I hate this, I love this, and it's like very easy. So I don't know. It's kind of turned into this,
Yes.
but like, I just love it.
My book reviews are so rough. Like some
Really?
people write paragraphs. I'm like, didn't love. 'Cause I feel I'm really sensitive for other people's feelings.
Yes.
So when I think about an author
100%.
reading that I didn't like anyone didn't like their book,
100%.
it makes me want to like curl up in a ball and cry.
Yes.
So I will say like, oh, not my favorite. Jessa also will reply to it every time. She's like, so you hated it. Or she's like, just like, it's just funny because I'm like, at least you picked up on it.
Yeah.
You know, like I just feel bad. I don't know.
No, I get it. I was at the bookstore the other day and I picked up Done and Dusted and I read it. And one of my friends, like so I feel like there's two types of book girls. There's like the girls who like the fluffy, like the cutesy, or you like the like the thought daughter, like the whole trend. Like you want, a black coffee, like you have like the moody vibes. Like, so it's very different. So my friend that I was with at the bookstore, she's kind of like that vibe. So everything that I like, she doesn't usually like. Like I like fluffy stuff, like little spice, not too much. So anyway, I picked up Done and Dusted and I was like, it was okay. Like, it was cute. It was like fine. And I just don't know if it was my favorite. And then I was just like randomly like scrolling today on TikTok and I saw the author. She was like, it's 1 year of Done and Dusted. And she had like a bunch of like videos of her like writing her book. And so I sent it to her. I was like, okay, maybe I like this book a little bit more. And she was like, well, maybe you love her. It's like okay to not like the book. And I was like, I don't know. I get it. Because like if I wrote a book, I wouldn't want people to be like, yeah, it wasn't for me. I would want people to be like, yeah, it's amazing. Like you took 10 years to write it. Like, I don't know.
My biggest fear in life is becoming an author and having bad Goodreads reviews. Like there's nothing that would cut deeper than you're pouring your soul into this book. And it sucks because someone's got to do it. It really does.
Yeah. And then someone being like, oh, this was like the worst writing I've ever seen. Or like, oh, I didn't resonate with that. Or like, I couldn't.
No, it's really tough.
Yeah.
What level of spice do you like?
I feel like it depends on my mood. Because like sometimes I'm fine with no spice or like a slow burn, like a little sprinkle. But then there's other times like I read Luca by Gray Huffington, which is like very much not my vibe, like at all. Very, very spicy, but very much like alpha male, like that type of vibe. The book is not like super hyped up or anything. So like I randomly found it and loved it. Like absolutely loved it. So I think it just depends on the book, but mostly just like a sprinkle of spice. What about you?
I don't mind it, but I don't die for it. I'm not going out of my way to find it. Yeah. I have friends who will hate a book if there's no spice. And I'm like, I'm not looking to read a porno, you know?
100%.
Like, that's not really like what I'm going out of my way for.
No.
But like it happened one summer. It's probably like the spiciest book I've ever read. I think it might be the spiciest book that's ever existed. And I actually loved that book. But one thing about me is I love a grumpy sunshine trope. If a man hates every other person on this earth, honestly, in the entire solar system, but only loves one girl, love, obsessed, that's all I need. Like, that is my favorite trope. Like, I don't know what, and their name's Knox, I'm in. Like, so something about a Knox.
So you liked, what was there another book?
Lucy Score.
Yes, yeah. I'm like, so you like that book too?
Yes, because I love a Grumpy Sunshine. Do you hate a Grumpy Sunshine?
No, I don't hate a Grumpy Sunshine, but like, he peed outside. Like, he's like 40 years old. Like, I just couldn't get with it.
Wait, he did?
Yeah.
Wait, what book?
And,
it happened with someone?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't even remember that.
Yeah, he like got in a fight with his brother or something. They like physically fought outside. And then there was like another point when he like, I think like the bathroom was being used or something. Or maybe it wasn't being used. And he just wanted to pee outside. Maybe he was drunk. Yeah. I was just like, you're 40. Like, but then again, it kind of gives like Midwest vibes. Like, cause like people would do that. Like, like, maybe, but.
See, I just had blinders. Like there could be red flags everywhere, but he hates everyone, but he loves her. And I love, that's just kind of how it goes. And it's interesting because I'm not really like that in real life. I only ever like the nicest guy in the world is the guy that I'm in love with. Like I don't like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I
do like guys who maybe are like a little bit more complicated and are maybe harder to date.
Okay.
If that makes any sense. Like they're not just like going around and dating every girl in the world.
So it seems like you have a lot of types.
My type is like being a floater type. Like there's no common ground, but I was just trying to like psychoanalyze myself there. What's your favorite trope?
Friends to lovers. But
Okay.
it's like, it's literally because my husband and I, like, we were friends to lovers. Like, we met in college, met when I was 19, like, been together 12 years. So, like, I think that's why. But if I had to pick one outside of friends to lovers, like, actually, I don't know if I could pick another one.
See, that's how I'm trying to be as friends to lovers in real life. That's my goal. I love friends to lovers. I don't like enemies to lovers.
Yeah, I don't either.
It's too predictable. It's like I knew what was going to happen the whole time.
Yeah, and I feel like they're not even really enemies. It's usually like you just kind of are irritated by this person.
And they have like some crazy sexual tension.
Yeah.
Like that's what that is.
Right. Yeah, I'm like, I don't think that's a real enemy. Like, because if someone was an actual enemy to me in real life, like, we're not going to be lovers. Like, I don't like you.
No, like, we are done. There's no going back.
No, 100%.
That's actually so true. I wonder if it's your favorite trope is really, truly just what you deep down want.
Yeah.
You know?
It could be. Yeah. I mean, I think that, like, us being friends, like, because we were friends before we, like, got together for, like, 2 years. We were just, like, friends. Like, I was hooking him up with other people. Like, he was trying to hook me up with other people, like, truly just friends. And I think that that's, like, my favorite trope because you get to know the person as a friend first. So, yeah, maybe that's why.
In the back of your mind, during those 2 years, was there ever a thought of like, maybe we should be together?
No, literally never. I like tried to hook it up with my best friend. Like, actually, yeah. And they like talked for like a while and it like wasn't a thing. And like, I mean, granted, we were like 19. So I mean, at 19, you're just like, oh, like my best friend, like they're great. This person's great. Like, whatever. We're going to go to bars. Like, you know, you should dance with this person. Like, but yeah, no, there was never a thought like ever.
Wow.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
That is crazy. That kind of scares me.
Why?
No, I'm like,
because you're like, who could it be in my life right now?
Yeah. It's no one. That's not happening.
You don't think?
No. No, I don't think so. I honestly would hope not. No. Okay, so let's get started. We both have our phones because these episodes require homework. Mm-hmm. So we have some questions here. First book that got you into reading?
Okay, so I feel like I get into reading and then I get out of reading. Then I get back into reading, then I get out of reading. So the first thing that like really got me into reading was probably like the Animal Arc. Do you remember like the Animal Arc series with like the dogs in the front? It was like Puppies in the Palace or like whatever. Like that really like got me into it. And then I mean, granted, that was like middle school or like elementary school or whatever. And then like the Nancy Drew books, I think were the next ones that got me into it. Yeah. And then after that, I think I took like a little hiatus and then it was like a Colleen Hoover. Like I think I read Hopeless in like 2013 when I was like in college. And that was like what just hooked me right back in. I like stayed in for a while.
Colleen Hoover's career has been insane.
Yeah, absolutely wild.
Insane.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my pipeline to becoming a reader.
Okay.
First off, American Girl books.
Yes.
Huge, massive. I was a kid girl, obviously. And my dog's name is Coconut. So I mean, if that tells you anything.
You have the cardigan vibes. Like, didn't she like wear like a cardigan like that?
Yes. No, I always say I am a combination. Well, actually, my next one is Junie B. Jones.
Oh, okay.
I always say that and then my next one, Nancy Drew books.
Okay.
And then my next one, Twilight.
Okay.
But I always say I'm a combination of really Kit Kittredge, Junie B. Jones, and Nancy Drew. Like there's something in there.
I can see it.
And it all came together and that created me.
I can see it.
You know?
Especially Junie B. Jones, like the energy of Junie B. Like, yeah.
I know. And like Junie B. Jones, I think was like actually a really annoying kid, but there's something in there that reminds me of myself.
Everyone read her book. So it's like she wasn't that annoying. Like everyone wanted to be Junie B. Jones. So like even if she was considered annoying in the books, like we all wanted to be her. So like.
That's true.
Yeah, like,
I was. Like,
and you're not annoying by anyway.
Thank you. I was in the car with a guy once and we were talking about it and he's the one who pointed it out to me. He's like, that makes so much sense that those are the books you grew up on because that's you.
Had he read them?
He had sisters, so probably.
Okay.
And it just all came together. He was so right. And that's, you know how it's like everyone comes into your life for a reason, a season or, you know, whatever. That was his reason, was to bring that to mind for me because it's really become such a staple in my identity.
Well, now I need to know, are you a good detective? Like for your friends?
Yes.
Like,
yes, actually though, if I'm being honest, Dom is the good detective.
Okay.
And it's really, she's just good at it. And also I don't care enough.
Okay. No, I feel
so, but if I need to figure something out, I can figure something out.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
So, but there's something about Nancy Drew, you know, she's driven, she's determined.
She's kind of a workaholic, honestly.
Yeah.
Like she's like our first workaholic that we saw as like a kid. Like really, like
I actually just got the Nancy Drew cookbook.
Oh, really?
Isn't that so crazy? I grew up, my mom's an interior designer, so I grew up at all these antique stores. My mom and grandma would bribe me to go with them this is how fun I was as a kid, by offering to buy me a Nancy Drew book because they had all of them at the antique stores.
Okay.
So now I get them. I read every single one as a kid because it's all I did was sit in antique stores and I would read Nancy Drew books.
That's cute.
That's how they would bribe me. Yeah.
Did you ever read the Babysitters Club at all, or?
I think I read a couple, but I didn't get super into it weirdly.
I got like super into that too. And like, I don't really know what it was. Maybe it was like the friendship thing. Cause like they all had like, you know, so many friends and they all had their own lives. And like, I think I like really love that. But yeah, Nancy Drew was definitely like it too.
No, I mean, I love that woman. I need more from her.
I know. Yeah, what happened to her? Sometimes I wonder, like, what happens? Like, what's her name? Meg Cabot, is that her last name? Who wrote, like, Princess Diaries? Like, is she, like, still write?
Do you think they just get so rich that they just
maybe? Like,
maybe that's what it is.
It could be. Like, I don't know. I'm just, like, or maybe we just, like, don't care about them after they, like, make that book because nothing, like, leads up to as good as, like, that book that we read.
It's kind of like the kiss of death. That's my favorite thing to bring up on the show. But honestly, if you, because didn't Stephanie Meyers, like, once she released Twilight, she released the other books under a different name?
Did she?
Yeah, there were some, like, fantasy, sci-fi type
I stopped caring about her after Twilight. Like, I was just like, you did what you need to do, and that's it. Like, nothing else.
If you're Stephanie Meyers, what do? Do you just, like, move to a deserted island? Buy the island?
I don't know. I mean, didn't she come out with like a new book recently too, like part of the same series?
Yeah, so it's called Midnight Sun, and I'm literally like a diehard Twilight fan. Like to this day, if it's raining out, Twilight's playing. Like I love Twilight. So she wrote Twilight from Edward's perspective. Yes. It's called Midnight Sun. That book was leaked like 15 years ago. So I had read it, just the first couple of chapters. So I'd already read that, not the whole book. And I'm pretty sure the story goes that she just got really upset that it was leaked and ended up not releasing it. But then she released it in COVID and I read it.
Okay. Was it good or no?
Yeah. I mean, one thing about me is that like I'm always down for a sequel.
Okay.
I'm not one of those people who thinks it's going to ruin anything. I just want more. I just want to be back in that world.
Yeah, because once it's done, it's done. So it's like, why not like just read more about it?
Yeah, like I just want to be back there, you know? It's like Taylor Swift, I'm right where you left me. Like that's how I feel. Did you read It Ends With Us? And It Starts With Us?
Yes.
Okay, what were your thoughts on It Starts With Us? Yeah.
So I think I was the only person on the planet. And I love Colleen Hoover's books. Like, loved her books. Like, especially when I first got back into reading, like, read Hopeless, I'm trying to think of, like, I read that whole series. I read pretty much every book that she's written, like, I've read. I think the only one that I haven't read is, like, Heart Bones or, like, Regretting You or something. Love her books. You know, they're great, whatever. Not so much, like, I don't read them as much anymore, but anyway, I digress. I think It Ends With Us was the only book that I just, like, didn't really like.
That is so shocking. From a Colleen Hoover fan.
I know, yeah. And, like, it was weird because, like, everyone was obsessed with it, but maybe it was because it wasn't my first Colleen Hoover book, because, like, my first Colleen Hoover book was, like, I read Hopeless, like, I read, like, that series, and then I think I read, like some of the older books, you know, they came out like forever ago. So I feel like a lot of people read It Ends With Us, and that was their first Colleen Hoover book. So my hot take is I feel like if people had read other books first, that wouldn't have been like the most popular book. But that's just like my personal opinion.
I could see that. I often wonder how I would have actually rated books if I would have read 100 books prior. Yes. I've always been a reader, but I got back into fiction in 2020. So I started reading Colleen Hoover in 2020.
Okay.
And it was I was reading like 5 books every 5 days then. Like it was peak COVID. You couldn't leave your house, you know. So I read so many books in the first couple of months, and It Ends With Us was one of the first ones I read, and I loved it. So and I wonder like if I would have read it 3 years later, what I would have thought about it.
Yeah.
But the problem with It Starts With Us was that there was no problem.
Yeah.
That's the issue. You can't write a book about a healthy relationship.
Right.
But what else is she supposed to do in that?
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't hate like It Starts With Us. It was fine, but I also felt like I was like, this is kind of more of the story that I wanted to see anyway, because like in It Ends With Us, it's like I didn't really care about Ryle, like, because obviously, like, he kind of sucks. So, like, I mean, unless he was going to get some kind of, like, redemption story, which I don't really care for redemption stories anyway in books, like Archer's Voice, and they had, like, the Travis book. I'm like, I don't really want to read that. Like, I really
also did not like Archer's Voice at all. Like,
really?
That's my unpopular opinion. That is the one book that Margot and I are the same. Like, I don't know what it is. I feel like there's something broken in my brain.
Do you not like a soft boy? Is that what it is? Because, like, he's very much like a soft, like...
No, I do. Because in real life, I only like emotional boys. Like, if you don't cry, I don't like you. Yeah.
That's so funny, huh?
I know. It's really weird. Maybe I really do like just opposite stuff in books. Maybe I take back everything I said earlier.
Well, I don't know. Knox is, like, very, like... Tough. You know, he, like, throws her over his shoulder. He, like, takes her out of the bar, like...
Yeah, and I don't really... in real life, I mean, maybe I should like that, but in real life, like the guys that I don't know.
That's funny.
It just depends. If I were to give you a whiteboard of every guy I've ever dated and every guy I've ever been interested in and try to make them a web and explain how any of them, you would be shocked.
I kind of want to see, like, and if there's any links to like the books that you've read and the books that you like versus the ones that you don't like.
There's no links, and there's no links to each other either. Other than they can all talk to pretty much anyone, but not all, actually. I take it back. There's no links. So basically, you just can't really. I don't know what it was. Archer's voice was just not for me.
Oh, interesting. I feel like, I mean, I can see why. I feel like I'm too nice with books where I'm like, oh, I can see, like, I'm like, no, like, there are some books, though, I don't want to hear anything bad about, like Magnolia Park series. Like,
agreed.
Genuinely,
nothing.
Like, I will, like, actually fight you. And I'm, like, not someone who's, like, I'm usually like, oh, like, if you don't like it, that's okay. I totally understand. That series, no. Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren.
Yes, that's one of my top.
Yes, I'm like, it's just so sweet. Like, how do you, like, not like that book? And Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. Like, those, that series, those 2 books, like, don't talk about them. Don't say anything bad about them. Like, I love them. But other stuff, like, with Archer's Voice, I kind of can see why people maybe didn't get into it or didn't like it as much, because it is kind of a slow start, like, to get into it. She's, like, getting to the town and, like, trying to find, like, a grocery store. And it's, like, get to the romance or get to, like, what's happening. So, like, I can kind of see that. But
how do you feel about a miscommunication trope?
I feel like it has to make sense. Like, most authors, I feel, like, add it in there just to, like, throw a little something at the end. And, like, I don't like that if you're just, like, adding it just to, like, add something in the book. But, like, sometimes it makes sense, but most of the time I feel like it doesn't. So
what trope would you say Magnolia Parks is?
What trope? Oh my God. I don't know. It's hard to, like, explain because I almost feel like it's more of, like, a study of being human, at least.
Yes,
like,
I agree.
It's hard to be like this is, like, one specific thing because it's a lot of things. I don't know. Like, because it doesn't really fit any trope, like, that I would think of. Because, like, even, like, they were friends, like, before they got together, right? And then they, like...
Yeah, but they were always kind of in love with
Right,
each
they were
other.
always together, yeah. So it's, like, it's hard to...
I feel like kind of miscommunication. Kind of. Kind of, but not in the way, like, the way that I think of miscommunication is that like, we're just not fully expressing and getting everything out there. Yeah. I don't think of miscommunication as I misunderstood something that happened, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. There is literally nothing wrong with Magnolia Parks at all.
I, like, someone the other day was talking about the series and she was like, I read it. Like, you know, you've been, like, so obsessed with it. I read it. And first off, she was like, I read it on audiobook. I'm like, that's what you should do second. Don't do that first because, like, you need to read the writing. The writing is, like, just, it's unreal. Like, it just doesn't feel like someone human, like, could write that story. Like, it's just, it's beautiful. It feels like poetry, like, as you're reading it. But
it's also crazy because that was Jess's first book.
Yeah, that is wild to me.
Like
that
ever.
is, like,
I mean, not ever, obviously first book published.
Yeah.
But it was crazy. Also, I have to say this every time I'm on the podcast. Like, I told her, because I read it before it came out, obviously. And I told her, I'm like, this is like the next Twilight franchise. Like, this is the next. And no one listened to me. I think she's very, like, cannot take a compliment to save her life kind of vibe. But I just want to say, I saw it. Okay? I was right. And now everyone loves the books. And so, you know.
I mean, I would, like, say that to every single person that I met. Like, if I got to read the series before it was published, I would be like, yeah, I was that person.
Yeah, exactly.
I would.
It's like my claim to fame now. I'm like, well, actually, I know the author, so.
And I was the one who said it was going to be great.
Yeah, and I told her, and that's probably why she released it.
Probably. You wouldn't have without that encouragement.
Yes, no. Honestly, though, it is the best. It is truly the best series in the world.
I agree. Like,
no slander. No notes.
No, none. And I think because, like, the writing, like, I always tell people, like, whenever you were talking, like, what's the trope or whatever, it's hard to explain, but I always am like, it feels so real. Like, the characters feel like they're actual real people, but also, like, the writing, like, I feel like I am there. Like, when Magnolia is like, oh, you, like, know that, like, store over on, like, 54th Street or whatever. I'm like, well, no, I don't know that store. I've, like, never been there. I'm not in the books, but, like, the way you're explaining it is as if we're, like, sitting on a couch next to each other, like, you're talking about, like, where you went, what you did. Like, it makes me feel like I'm, like, in the book, and that's, like, what I want.
She's truly created an entire world, and it's the worst book hangover you'll ever have. Yeah. And then you read a book after, and it's so depressing because it's just nowhere near Magnolia Park.
No, and the, like, again, back to the writing, like, there's no other writing like it. So, like, I read Never, and, like, the writing is so similar in Never to, like, the rest of, like, the Magnolia Park series, and it's like, I need just more of that writing, like, and the characters, obviously, like, but the writing is, like, top tier.
So good.
Yeah.
It's so good. Okay.
Which, people like that make me never want to write, like, ever again. Like, never want to write a story. Like, I never want to be an author because of books like that.
Yeah, like Jessa Hastings makes me would never want to write a sentence the rest of my life.
Yes.
That's how I feel. Literally ever. Like even texting her, I'm like, do I sound stupid? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, and her husband's a songwriter.
Oh,
I was
God.
actually with them this weekend.
I couldn't hang out with him.
No,
like,
and he's written like the most incredible songs you've ever heard in your life. Like, have you heard So Will I? These are like, he wrote that song.
What?
Yeah. So like they are like the biggest power couple of like, yeah.
I'm shook.
It's crazy, yeah.
That is, I could not hang out with him. I would feel like I sounded dumb.
Yeah.
Like, because everything that I say is like, it's just like so.
I've grown more embarrassed of the way I speak, and I honestly think it's because of that. I really think, and it's like they're not saying anything. It's not their fault.
Right. It's just like how they speak. Like,
yeah, they're just perfect, you know? Okay, so all-time favorite series, which is the next one. So obviously Magnolia Parks.
Yes.
What's your favorite genre?
Definitely romance, but I feel like I throw in thrillers to kind of mix it up a bit.
Same.
And some people are like, oh, like, how do you not get bored of romance? I'm like, do you not realize that there are like so many different types of romance? There's spicy romance. There's like 1,000,001 different tropes. There are slow burns. There's like I can never get tired. If I read the same type of romance, like only enemies to lovers or only like one type of trope or only one type of writing, that's one thing. But like, I feel like there's so many books, like I will literally never get tired of reading romance.
I love romance.
Me too.
I also love thrillers. Like, I actually was a huge thriller reader. I didn't even think I liked romance. And then in 2020, I read Before We Were Strangers, and it made me realize that I love romance. And then I got really into it, but I'm the same way. I love romance.
Okay.
I love thrillers. I really so badly want to love fantasy. I'm just not there. But I so badly want to. I'm thinking this fall and winter is going to be the fall and winter that gets me into it.
See, I've tried like some fantasy and I just don't know. Like, and maybe just, I'm just like a lover girl. Like, even when I watch movies, like there has to be romance in it. Like, and I grew up, like my family, they would like make fun of me because they like love action movies. So like every Friday we had like family movie Friday nights, and they would always, you know, like Family Video, when you like go pick up the video and stuff. We would go and get like a video, and I was always be like, can we watch the romance? And they'd be like, no, like we need to watch like a thriller, or we need to watch like some kind of like action movie. And I feel like that's part of why I love romance, because I'm like, I didn't get enough of that like as like media content or like books or movies or whatever. But yeah, I just always have to have like a little bit of romance in there somewhere.
I love a romance book that will make you sob. There's nothing I love more. I just read Renee Carlino's book. It's coming out in July, so it'll be out by the time this episode goes up. I can't remember what it's called. It's her new release in July, though. Okay. And it's basically the story of this couple splitting up. And it's their entire love story. And it was so good. Like, when I'm reading a romance novel, I need to have like a lump in my throat, and I need to have like tears in my eye.
Yeah, just like, like
there's nothing better. Like, then when you're looking for a book to just rip your heart out of your chest, and then it does that, I'm like, oh, thank you. That's the emotional release I needed.
Well, I'll be reading my book sometimes, and my husband will come in and he'll be like, why are you sighing? Like, he'll come in and I'll be like, like, just like,
it really does feel like they're real.
Yes, yeah. I'm like, leave me alone. These are my friends. Yes. Like, I like them.
Like, you don't get it.
Yeah, and I feel like with fantasies, like what I always will like think a thought and then it's like gone because I start thinking about something else. But when we were talking about fantasies, this is what I was thinking. There's not enough like romance to keep me interested. And I feel like I don't really get interested in the like action or world building. Like I get a little bored. Like I've read like 2 fantasy books, and
like
they were
Akatar?
Like, no. I haven't read Akatar. I feel like a lot of people have said read Akatar, but I'm just like, I feel like I just don't want that much spice. Like, I just feel like I would be like spiced out. And maybe I would like it. Did you read it?
So I read the first 2 books, and I really couldn't get into it. I appreciated it for what it was for. I think I wasn't in the right mood. I read Fourth Wing, and I loved Fourth Wing.
Same.
But I hated the second book. I didn't finish it. I couldn't. And I tried so hard. And when I finished Fourth Wing, I was like begging for an advanced reader's copy. Like literally begging. I would have done anything. I would have changed my handle to like Kenzie Elizabeth loves Fourth Wing. Like that's what I would have done for that early advanced copy. And I couldn't even finish it. I hated it.
Oh my God.
Did you like it?
So I didn't read the second one. I read the first one, loved it. But this is the thing. It's like, you know, Fourth Wing, great, so good. Whenever the second one was released, I was there, like in line. I remember standing in line at Barnes & Noble. Like there was a line of people to get inside, standing in line. Then I saw like a bunch of people who were like, I wasn't like the biggest fan of it. And then I was like, did I really like it that much? Like, do I really want to read it that badly? Like, there's so many other good books. And again, love Fourth Wing. Like, I was standing in line to pick up like the second book that came out. But I think that's the thing about fantasy for me is I don't connect with the characters as much as like romance. Because even though that was a book that I think I read it in like 24 hours. Like, it was like so good to me, but it wasn't, I just like don't have that same obsession. Like, where I'm just like, want to keep talking about it and want to keep like sharing it and telling people to like read it. But it was good.
I feel similar. I really do. I'm glad you didn't read the second book.
I'm glad I didn't.
It really let me down.
I bought it first day, but like I didn't read it.
I had it pre-ordered too, and I was so excited to read it. And then
How far did you get in it?
I think like 54%. I really gave it an honest try.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot
also,
to be like done.
Not to mention the book's like 1,000 pages.
Yeah.
So I mean, it just wasn't for me. Fantasy with me, the same thing. It's really hard for world building, but I have this dream that I'm gonna get really into fantasy. Because here's the thing, I love a series.
Okay.
And I love to really be involved forever. And when you're like, one of my best friends, Keaton, who's a huge fantasy reader, was explaining to me that with one of the ACOTAR series and the other two that are connected, there's like 31 books in the series. So that would be so nice in an ideal world. Like, I would love to get involved, but I'm not there yet.
And sometimes I feel like I love a series, but sometimes I'm like, I need a breather. Like, I need a second. But I also get FOMO when everyone's like, oh, are you on like book whatever? I'm like, well, no, I'm still on book like 3. I'm trying to get there.
Yeah, it's kind of overwhelming.
Yeah, because there's so many. But it is nice to have a series to like read. You know, that's super long.
It's nice to have a series to just like move into, basically. Like, I'm living this new life here with you
Especially
guys.
when it's fantasy, because it's like, they're totally different. But I've read that, and then I read Shatter Me, which a lot of people I feel like Shatter Me, and like, it again was fine. I feel like I'm a big like, it was fine.
I am too, because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
I know, yeah.
Besides Archer's voice for some reason, that one, I don't care. Like,
for me, I think that book is like what's it called? Every Summer After or something?
Yeah. Is that your unpopular opinion? Because that's what you're into. Okay,
amazing. Yeah.
You hated it? That's surprising. I understand. I understand because
Love in Other Words is so similar.
Yes. I was going to say it's literally the exact same book.
Yes.
But I read Love in Other Words so long ago, so it was a nice enough break that I think it allowed me to enjoy Every Summer After, but it would have been really hard if I would have read them close together.
Yes.
Because they just are not comparable.
But then also like the thing at the end, that's the thing that got me. And I get it. Like,
you hate her now?
I'm a hater. Like, I just like that book in particular. The thing at the end made me be like, why? Like, the whole book was like fine. And then that just was like, we didn't need that like at all. And I don't know. I hate to say I'm a hater about a book, but like that one it does kind of make me. And then I read her second book that came out, Meet Me at the Lake. And I was like, okay, maybe this one's, no. Like, I didn't like that one either. Yeah. So now I'm kind of nervous to read the third one that just came out. But a lot of people have said that it's like different than the other two. So I'm like, maybe I'll like it. I bought it. But I also don't want to like read it because I'm like, what if I don't like it? And then I'm just continuing to be a hater with 3 of her books. Like,
that's how I am with Emily Henry. Actually, weirdly.
No.
I know. That's my unpopular opinion. I loved Beach Read.
Okay.
And I loved the blue one. Is it Happy Place?
Book Lovers?
No, I didn't like Book Lovers, and I didn't like People We Meet on Vacation.
Okay.
Which is, I
didn't like Book Lovers either. So like Book Lovers was mid, I'll say that. It was mid for me, but.
I loved Beach Read, by the way. It was like one of my favorite books for a really long time. I loved Beach Read. I don't know why. Because I know like that's a very unpopular opinion in like the Emily Henry world. And I think as a person, she's fabulous. Like I listen to her podcast, I love her, but I couldn't get into it. I did like Happy Place because it was a depressing romance book, which is like, I don't know what this is about me, but I love those. So I did love those too. But now, what's her book that she just released?
Funny Story.
Yeah, and I'm like halfway through. I just like stopped reading it for it. I don't know. Isn't it crazy?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I need to leave.
Do I need to push through?
I need to. Well, how far are you?
I'm like pretty far. But here's the thing. I've been in a weird headspace, so reading's kind of difficult.
Okay.
So I also don't want to say I didn't like it. It's just like maybe...
The time and place is like...
Yeah, maybe I'm just doing it wrong time. And by the way, when I'm reading it, I don't dislike it, but nothing is like making me want to pick it up again.
Yes, I feel that. I do think there's some books where like I'll read it, I'm like, dang, I feel like if I had read this at a different time, maybe I would have like not hated it and it would have been better. But then it's like, it's over. Like I'm done with it. I've read it. So I'm not going to go back and read it again and like try. But
timing is everything.
Yeah.
It really is.
But I love Funny Story. Like,
no,
I feel like
finish it.
I feel like I'm so like a harsh rater. Like again, I'm very like, it's mid. Like most books to me are mid, which is why I think that most books that are like very highly rated for me are like It's like huge because most books are mid. But I also think we have different tastes in books.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, like because you loved Before We Were like you give mini thought daughter to me. Like dipping your toe into like, because you like Normal People by Sally Rooney.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
Wait, actually, no, I think I maybe did. But I read it years ago. I think it was like fine.
Okay.
Because one of my friends, Maddie, loved that book and I read it and I liked it. I think but it wasn't. But here's the thing. I do like the kind of books you were talking about too. The lighter ones. Yeah. It just depends on the day for me.
No, I get that.
But we do in the sense of like Magnolia Park. Yes. And a lot of the romance books, like a lot of our ratings are similar. But we do have... Our crossover does end on some books. Like Archer's Voice, Emily Henry. But other than that, like we do have more similar ones.
We do, you're right. Because Magnolia Parks and like what are some of your like favorite books?
Our top ones, because like Love in Other Words is one of my favorites.
Okay.
How do you feel about Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo?
Loved it.
Me too.
I honestly love all her books. Like
me too.
Yeah, I think the only book I wasn't obsessed with was One True Loves, and I kind of just want to be like Taylor Jenkins Reid sticks to books that are not like just true romance. I feel like she does better when it's like a subplot of romance and like less of like all romance. Because like I read Daisy Jones and the Six, loved it. Carrie Soda's Back, loved it.
That book was so cool because it felt like you were in a match.
Yes.
It was crazy.
And I don't even like, I like tennis, but like I don't even really care about like sports that much. But I'm like, man, like please, like, you know, win. Like I just was like really invested. And what else did I read of hers that I liked? Seven Husbands.
I didn't love Malibu Rising.
I didn't love Malibu Rising either. Okay. So we do have some, but
I do love her early romance books. I read them like years ago. I do this thing where if I read a book by an author and I love it, I have to read every single other book they've ever released ever.
I kind of love that, actually.
So I like her early romance books because sometimes I like a book that's not that good too. Like it's kind of like a guilty pleasure read. I'm like, wait, no, I love this.
It depends on like your mood.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you ever read To Hate Adam Connor, To Love Jason Thorne?
Is that by
I totally forget who it's by.
No, I haven't.
Maybe LMAs.
I have not read. Yeah, LMAs. No, I have it like on my shelf. I have not read it.
Okay, those are some of my favorite, just like dumb romance books.
Okay.
Like, it's not dumb.
Yeah, I get it.
That, but like I read both of those books in the span of 24 hours. I was flying actually to New York.
And those are thick books too. Like for those types of like, for like fluffy books. Yeah. Like I feel like.
See, I read on a Kindle, so I wouldn't know these.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're like this thick.
And but like, it didn't feel that long at all.
Really?
And I flew through them. I mean, I started it, let's say Thursday night, and I finished it basically in a night. And then I was reading the other one, and I finished it by the time I landed in New York the next morning.
This is what I need. I need someone to be like, please read this book.
You need
like,
to read it.
Okay. Anytime someone
I would
like,
be shocked if you didn't love it.
Really? Yeah. Okay. All right. To Love Jason Thorne. And honestly, I think I bought like 2 of her other books too. Because didn't she write like Marriage for One or Marriage Why or something? I need to
read more of hers just because I love it's kind of like what I do. You know? What's your reading routine?
Okay, so this is like very unpopular, but I think that everyone needs to do it. So I wake up at 5 a.m. every day and read for like a few hours before work. And I think that starting my day with something that I actually like to do versus like, because I like workout, like work out, like it's fine, whatever. That is not what I do first thing in the morning because I need to start my day with something good so I'm not like cranky and like, hate the world. And starting it with like reading and then like seeing the sunset over the water. Like I do that every single morning, even on the weekend. Sometimes I don't wake up at 5 on the weekend because that is like very early, but I've like learned to really like it.
Do you make a coffee as soon as you get up?
No, I don't even really drink coffee for real.
Wow. Yeah. What time do you go to bed?
Pretty early. I go to bed at like 9:30.
Okay.
So yeah.
I'm an early morning girl too, but like to sit and immediately read. I do read, but I read nonfiction in the morning. Oh. But on like a weekend, I love to wait. There's nothing I love more than waking up, making my coffee, sitting by my fireplace, and reading a book.
Yes.
Like a fiction book. There's nothing like it. I do really like that because it brings joy to your life versus just like hating your life at 5 in the morning.
I kind of want to get back into reading more nonfiction because so I went to college and I was like an English major and I was telling my friend this yesterday when we were at the bookstore, the girl who's like the thought daughter who, drinks the black coffee, like she has like the whole vibe. She's reading all these books that I like read that I feel like I'll never go back to, but maybe I will. Like, All About Love by Bell Hooks and like, the very like intellectual, like great, classic things. And when we were there, I was like, I feel like in school, I got so like burnt out of reading stuff that like I didn't really want to read, that it's hard to like go back to reading like heavier stuff or stuff that's really going to make me like think. Like I kind of want my brain to be like so empty. It's like an empty little happy cloud. Yes, and turn off because I don't really watch TV for real. So I feel like I want to get back into like reading nonfiction. Like I read like maybe 2 nonfiction, 2, 3 maybe like a year. And it's like, I read like almost 200 books last year. So it's like I should probably read a little bit more because I'm sure there's great books, but I just can't get myself to do it.
For the longest time, I would only read nonfiction books, mainly when I was in college, because I felt like every single thing that I did every second of the day needed to be productive.
Yes, no, I feel that.
And then I started reading fiction books, and it was very healing for my mindset on life, honestly. But I process a lot when I read. Like, reading for me is processing. So if I'm going through anything in life, I will talk to my therapist. I immediately have a book. So I read a lot of nonfiction, more so that is helping me process things in life.
That makes sense.
It's less of, but I definitely read more fiction than nonfiction. This year, I've read a lot more nonfiction than I've read fiction. Okay. Normally, I would say I read probably like 1 to 15.
Okay. That's a good like ratio. Yeah. I think I've read like maybe 1 or 2 maybe this year, but I feel like the books that I read to like process things are still like fiction, but I usually will grab something that's like, I know it has a trope in it that is going to be something that I maybe have like went through or like resonate with. So then I'm like, okay, maybe I don't really want to dabble into this, but I'm going to dabble into it because like maybe I should, but in like a nicer, fluffier way versus like a nonfiction.
I also feel like I've learned more reading fiction than I have nonfiction, just about people. Like even talking about Magnolia Parks, it's just very real people. That's what everyone is so angry about and up in arms. And I'm like, have you guys lived life? Like this is actually the most realistic book I've ever read.
Thank you.
Like it's actually really crazy. Also, like not to be like so depressing, but I was texting Jessa and the way she talks about sibling loss, it's like, I'm like, it's so insane to me that you haven't lost a sibling. Yeah. And like, this was before I lost a sibling when I first read this. Like, it's exactly how it feels. Yes. It's so bizarre. So it's like even in like loss in the, you know, her relationship with her parents and her dad and the affairs and everything. I mean, it's so spot on. She is unbelievable.
100%. So I read Into the Dark, like my dad passed in like November, I think. And I read Into the Dark, like, I want to say it was like a little before it came out. And I think it was like January. And I'm like, I know that you have to have lost someone in your life because the way that you're explaining loss and like the feelings that come from that, like there's no way
you just make that up.
Yeah, you just make that up. Yeah, it like feels so. And again, I do think that people like connect with books based on like maybe the things that they've been through. Like that's why that book for me will be a book that's like feels like my Bible. Isn't my Bible, you know, sorry Lord, but like it feels like it because it's like so like I connect to it so much. But again, like I feel like I go back to books like that when I'm like, I want to like deal with stuff a little bit, but not so much where it's like feels heavy because it still feels fun. But yeah, those like characters feel genuinely like real people. And when people say they don't like them, I'm like, I don't think you've ever met anyone that's like actually human. I don't think that you've like went through anything in your life because these people like go through real like things.
Absolutely. No, I'm like a Magnolia like Parks like, apologist for the rest of my life.
Do you like Magnolia or Daisy like better if you had to choose?
Magnolia.
Me too.
Yeah.
I feel like you're either a Magnolia or Daisy girl. Like you like maybe both of them.
I totally understand why you would like Daisy more.
No, I love Magnolia more.
No, not you. Like,
okay.
People, sorry. I meant like a general you.
I was like,
You're like offended.
Yeah, I'm like actually offended. I'm
like, wait, no. I understand why someone would like Daisy more.
Yes.
I just feel a lot more connected to Magnolia. And I don't know if that's because there's a lot of similarities between Jessa and Magnolia in certain ways. Or if it's that I just feel more, I don't know what it is, but I definitely feel a lot more connected. Maybe it's just because I read it first, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like for me with Magnolia, she feels similar to me. And like one of my like really close friends, she's like absolutely obsessed with Daisy, but she, to me, reminds me so much of Daisy. So I'm like, well, I see why you like it because you're like, I don't know. Like, and I think some of the things about Magnolia, I like aspire to like have like, you know, Magnolia walks in a room and like everyone like wants to be her, even though she's not trying to do anything to make people be her or want to be her. Like she just is like that girl. Like I think certain things about her, I'm like, okay, I would kind of like love to have that. But then some of the things I'm like, okay, I am that too. So like,
yes.
Yeah.
And she's complicated and I'm like, I understand it.
Yes.
Like I really understand it.
Yeah,
you know?
me too.
What are your tips to get someone to wake up at 5 a.m. to read?
Okay. I know it sounds weird. Like it sounds really dumb when you say it, but like I genuinely started it because there was this trend on YouTube that was like waking up at 5 a.m. to read. So I'm like, whatever, let me just like try this like stupid trend because it's going to be like funny. And so I like made a whole like week of me waking up at 5 a.m. and I was like, I kind of like this. Like this is kind of nice. So I started waking up just like an hour before I like needed to actually get up. or like 30 minutes maybe. And then I just kept pushing it back further and further and further. Cause like we'll stay up late to read a book like all the time. You know, you'll be like, oh, I'm going to be in bed by 9 o'clock. Then you stay up until freaking midnight or whatever. Like you would feel so much better if you took that time in the evening when you're like, you know, so engrossed in a book and just did it at the beginning of your day. Like imagine like you have 3 hours where you're just like, have your favorite book, your coffee, like, you know, a candle. And then like you go to work and you've like read maybe a couple chapters, like maybe freaking half a book, depending on like how long you read, like before work. And then you go and like go throughout your day versus like, I feel like at the end of the night, when most people read is like, you know, you're in bed, you got your Kindle and like, it's cozy, it is, but it's like, you know, you need to go to bed because you have to get up and like do stuff. So I think start with like a short time frame, like 30 minutes before you have to get up or 15 minutes and like start like that and then just keep pushing it back. And I feel like if you're actually a big reader, you'll like really, really enjoy it. I stand by it. And I read the most in the morning than like any other time of day. Cause like at the end of the night or the afternoon, if you like, you know, want to read on your lunch break or whatever, like stuff always comes up. So I always say at night, like, I'm going to get in bed and read. And then it's like, oh, I got to edit this thing or I need to like do this work thing or I need to do the dishes or I need to do laundry. In the morning, no one's up. Like no one can bother you. No one's emailing you. Like it's just you, your book, and the sunrise. And like, I don't know. It's something about it.
It's magical.
Yeah, it is. There's something about it.
I would co-sign that. Not that I'm waking up at 5 a.m. to read, but I do wake up early and I do love to read. But what I have found is that it makes my day, even when I'm reading nonfiction and like journaling in the morning, it makes my day so much better. Mm-hmm. And then you start to crave that time. And I completely agree with like being up before everyone else is because no one can bother you. Mm-hmm. You know, like emphasis on no one bothering you.
That part.
That's the best part of the day. Okay, so you can't miss it, you know? Yeah. And it's so easy. Like I always get questions about like, how do I find time to read? And it's obviously totally different when you are able to control your own schedule, especially when like reading has to do with your career. But also like the amount of times I get questions like, well, you're DMing me on Instagram. Like you could be reading. You know what I mean? Like yes. There are times that you can find to read if we were just getting off our phone. I'm so much happier. Like the less screen time I have, the happier I am with like life in general.
Yeah, and I
do that by reading.
I feel like so many people say they don't have time to read, but I'm like, you're lying because you just finished Bridgerton, like the entire series in like a day. Like you, like so many people, and I love Bridgerton. Like there's, you know, Summer I Turned Pretty, like all these good shows coming out and everyone's like Maxton Hall. Like I love those shows. I'm obsessed with them, but I like have not even, I think I started the first Bridgerton when I was like of the new season when I was on vacation because like I was so excited for it to come out. I'm like, I can't wait for the release. But then every time I sit down to watch Bridgerton, I'm like, I want to read a book instead. Mm-hmm. And so like people who are like, oh, I don't have time to read, like look at how many like TV shows you're watching, which there's nothing wrong with either of them. It's just like entertainment either way. But I feel like people will like be like, I don't really have time to read, but then we'll like watch a full series on a Saturday or like watch 2-3 episodes of like an hour-long episode. So it's like, what's that? Like 3-4 hours, like depending on how long it is. So like, that's like a whole book almost.
You have time for what you want to make time for.
Yeah.
Always. Totally. What is your guilty pleasure for reading?
I don't know if I have a guilty pleasure. I feel like I was thinking about this one for a while.
Mine is hockey smut. Ooh. Like hockey smut is such a good one. Seriously. Have you read Icebreaker? You hated it.
I hated it.
And listen, it's not a good book. That's why it's a guilty pleasure to read. One of my best friends, I won't name names, started reading this book titled Pucking Around.
I was literally just about to say that.
Did you like that one?
I did not read it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's like reverse harem, isn't it?
I have no idea. She told me that she was reading it and I was like, oh, wow. And then she texted me a week later and goes, I know this is going to come as a shock, but I couldn't get through it. And I said, no way. Why?
Yeah, I picked it up because I feel like I do stuff for the bit sometimes.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
and by the way, some of those books that sound so corny and awful are actually really good.
No, they are. Yeah. And sometimes you just need that, like in the same way that you watch reality TV and you just need trash and you know it's trash. Okay, so this is a book that like I feel like not that many people have read. Octavia Grant. That woman, I don't even know how to explain her books. She wrote a book called Work Husband. I think it's only like 63 pages. I don't want to say the book is trash because the book is not trash, but like in the same way that you watch reality TV and you like expect for it to be trashy, like you just are in that mood. Yeah. That's what that book was. I absolutely ate it up and went and bought 2 more. And it's like, it's pretty spicy like for me, but like There was a point where she like, cause it's like a romance, but also like it gives obsessed vibes with like Beyonce, remember like the movie Obsessed? It's like very similar to that. There was a point, I don't want to like spoil too much of the book if you end up like going to get it. I think it's like free on Kindle Unlimited. I think she like kills someone and then like puts their clothes back on and then like I don't know like what, like it just was like, what is going on? But I ate it up. And sometimes you need books like that. Yes. They're just like, I don't know what's happening right now. Like, this is kind of crazy. I need to brain rot, but not on my phone, just like in a book. And that, I get it.
Brain rot is such a good category to do for books.
Yes.
Actually. I need to like do a list of brain rot.
You should.
That's a really good.
Icebreaker's a good one. That's a
No, because it's I know it's not good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying it is. I know that, but there's something about it. Like that would just be my guilty pleasure. Like sometimes you just need a hockey smut book. Yeah. And that's just how I feel.
All right. Well, what are some other brain rot books that you can think of?
I would have to like look at my Goodreads. I don't know.
Because you probably don't care about them that much, but then like when you need it, you need it.
I'll make a list and put it on Instagram. Because I really need to get back to it. I make like really good book lists, but then honestly, it just like feels like too much of a commitment. It really stresses me.
No, I get it. Well, the fact that I've like kind of turned into like a book like person, and I say kind of, but like actually, I'm also like, I just like read just like for fun. So like, don't take my reviews too serious. I mean, Magnolia Park's like 100% definitely take that seriously. 11 Other Words, Before I Let Go, like all those, take those very seriously. But everything else, like my mood could change. So like 2 years from now, maybe I will be obsessed with brain rot books. Like those could be my favorite books 2 years from now. I don't know.
Okay, last two questions. Did you do Hollywood casting for Magnolia Parks?
Yes, I did.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay, so first before I'm going to have to like show you the pictures and like names because I genuinely was so serious when I say I don't really watch TV for real. And like,
same, I feel the same way.
Okay, because I don't really know anyone. So I made like a whole list and I actually sat down with my husband because he watches like more TV than I do. And I was like, okay, you need to help me fan cast. So for Magnolia Parks, I didn't find anyone for BJ. I'm going to say that like right off the bat. There's something about BJ. He's like a very special character. I feel like I can't find anyone that like really fits the bill for what I think BJ would like look like or act like. Like
I agree with that. I can't think of anyone.
You can't think of anyone? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I just couldn't. Like, I don't know. He's just so special.
He's like, he walks on water.
I know. Like, actually,
that's how it feels.
Special. So Magnolia was very hard as well because like I'm obsessed with her. But Laura, she was like in the Spider-Man Homecoming movie. Laura Harrier, like that's her picture.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna show you all the pictures because I don't even like know who these people are. But she was in Spider-Man Homecoming. She's like, I feel like I needed to find a character who was like hot, but also like can kind of like give you a look that is like looks could kill. Because she's very like confident. And it was hard to find. Like I was kind of looking at like different like things that people said about who they would fan cast. And some of them, to me, felt so off. I'm like, that does not, like, someone was like Zendaya. I'm like,
I was going to say, I understand why people would pick Zendaya, but it's not Zendaya to me.
Yeah, like, I could get it. Like, the hair, like, I mean, she's beautiful.
Even just, like, the piercing looks that she can get. Like, I get that.
Yeah, I could see that. But then also, I was just like, I don't know. She needs to be a little bit more regal than Zendaya. Zendaya, maybe because of Euphoria, like, I see her as a little bit more grungy. Like,
tougher.
Yeah, tougher. Like, I don't know. For Daisy, okay, so this person, my friend who I feel is truly Daisy, her name is Taylor, but she's like the Daisy obsessor. She found this girl and just like randomly sent her Instagram to me. She was in the movie No Hard Feelings. Her name's Inanna Sarkis and her boyfriend's name is Matthew Nazca. That's what they look like. Please hold the phone closer. Like that, you can't tell me that's not Daisy and Christian.
That's actually crazy.
Yeah, I'm like, that to me is exactly how Daisy and Christian like would look. And then Alicia Bowe from 13 Reasons Why would be Bridget to me.
That's great.
Yeah, I feel like she would like fit the bill. Corey Milcrease from Queen Charlotte would be Henry, I think. You can also see the pictures that I picked. I feel like
absolutely.
Yeah. I also kind of want like a Henry book so bad, but
yeah,
you know, it's okay.
Like keep wanting.
I know. Honestly, I want a book for everyone. Like we could get a book for like the maid. We could get like everyone. Yeah. And then from the after movies, this is probably a hot take because I feel like the after movies were very cringe. But the main character, I think his name's like Hero. He would be Jonah.
1000%.
Yeah,
that's the best one.
Yeah,
that's like the most
fun. Yeah,
I love that one.
Yeah. So that was my fan cast, but again, it was like very hard because I feel like the characters have so much more than just like a face. Because like some of the face faces of these people fit, but I'm like, I don't know if their acting would like fit.
Agreed.
Like, I don't know. Like the guy from After, I'm like, could you play Jonah? Like, I don't
would
know.
you be good
like, yeah,
I
like,
guess
I
we'll
don't
have
know.
to see. Okay, we're gonna do F, Marry, Kill.
Oh no, I'm
author
scared.
edition.
Okay, I'm scared.
Okay, Jessa Hastings.
Okay.
Colleen Hoover.
Okay.
Emily Henry.
Okay. I think I would marry Jessa, like 100%. I think I would F Emily Henry and maybe kill Colleen Hoover.
I'm marry Jessa, obviously.
Yeah.
F, Colleen Hoover, kill Emily Henry. So we're like kind of the same, but not.
Can't.
You know?
I can't. My heart.
I know.
It like hurts.
I know. I'm so sorry. It's okay. Okay, well, I could literally talk to you for another 3 hours.
I
So we'll have
know.
to do another book episode
Yeah,
like a year
definitely.
from now so we can, recap our recent reads.
Yeah.
This is really a Magnolia. This podcast is a Magnolia Parks fan page.
No, actually.
It actually is.
And I was trying.
Jessa and Ben are having episodes like a week or a month before this episode goes up. Like, it really is Magnolia Park.
I was trying so hard not to talk about Magnolia Parks because, like, I mean, it's just like I feel like Magnolia Parks is in my DNA. I've never gotten a tattoo, and like all the characters have made me want to get like specific tattoos for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't have children, but I want to name like my firstborn daughter Magnolia. Like I'm like I need to like not talk about that series that much because I talk about it so much already. So like yeah. If you're gonna ask me a question about it, like I'm definitely gonna talk about it.
Yes. Okay, so where can they find you? Because you have so much book content.
Yes. TikTok, Shawnaci Schroeder, YouTube, Shawnaci Schroeder, Instagram, Shawnaci Schroeder. Like there aren't a lot of Shawnaci Schroeder. So like I'm the first person that comes up. And then on my podcast, I talk about books like a little bit on there, but not really. But everywhere else, like I literally don't shut up about books. Like YouTube specifically, hour-long vlogs.
I know. I
about books.
love your book vlogs. They're so comforting.
Thank you.
They're just so good to put on. Like I love a Barnes and Noble one. Love when you do those. Those are my favorite.
Love. Honestly, like I buy way too many books. But I also read a lot. So like I shouldn't judge myself because whatever. I could be buying a lot worse things.
Yeah, I was gonna be. You could be buying drugs.
Yeah, I could really be trying drugs.
You're
Like
fine.
it's fine.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yay.